All right, we are live. Hello, and a very warm welcome to another very exciting yet very insightful session of the Organic Majlis on Superfoods, the region's emerging favorite. This is a community initiative of the Organic and Natural Products Expo. All right, we are live. Hello, and a very warm welcome to that has been bringing the business community together for the last 20 years through online platforms such as this and at the annual face-to-face event in Dubai every December. This year's expo is scheduled to take place between 13th and the 15th of December 2022 at the Dubai World Trade Center and will be an ideal platform for you to showcase your superfood products to close to 10,000 B2B buyers across the MENA region. The Middle East millennial and Gen Z population are more health conscious today than ever. The belief that through the consumption of superfoods, certain conditions or ailments can be treated is growing rapidly. That has resulted in tremendous growth within the superfood sector. With the superfood market valued at close to 140 billion across the globe and projected to grow at an annual growth rate of 5 to 6%, superfoods are here to dominate. Superfoods are also grabbing the attention of the HoReCa industry as people demand more superfoods in their meals and allow them to experiment. The superfood market in the Middle East and Africa is valued at $12 million in 2021. By 2028, that number is set to rise to a whopping $18 million, growing at a CAGR of 8.1%. Such robust growth is definitely due to the increasing consumer consciousness of health, well-being, and as a precaution towards chronic diseases and including obesity. The massive growth within the segment is majorly driven by countries like the UAE and Saudi Arabia here in the GCC. All right, without further ado, please allow me to introduce to you our panelists for today. First off, we have Ananya Narayan, who's the Managing Director of Hunter Foods. Hunter Foods is a leading company in Asia in manufacturing and packaging innovative gourmet and better-for-you snacks and foods based in Dubai, UAE since 1985. Hunter Foods produces a wide range of specialty and gourmet snacks and foods such as hand-cooked potato chips, vegetable chips, quinoa chips, organic superfoods, potato snacks, etc., all under its own brands, Hunter's Gourmet, Hunter, Safari, Aladdin, and Alibaba. With an unwavering commitment to quality, innovation, and customer focus, Hunter Foods has a robust distribution in all major retail, wholesale, food service establishments, and e-commerce platforms in the UAE and the GCC. Hunter Foods exports to almost 60 countries across 5 different continents. And it's a pleasure having you here. I am very glad that you're here and you've agreed to be a part of this. Personally speaking, as a Dubai kid, I've grown up eating the Safari potato grills and the Aladdin. So this is kind of very personal for me. So thank you so much for joining in, and definitely looking forward to a wonderful session. And I'm pretty sure the audience is looking forward to what you have to say this afternoon.
Thank you so much, Suraj. Delighted to be here.
Awesome. Next up, we have Aboudi Fark, who's the founder of Blueterra. Blueterra Foods is a conscious, sustainable marketplace for organic and natural products in the UAE and Saudi Arabia, and is home to about 4,000 plus home beauty products from across 500 world-renowned brands, right from toxin-free home cleaning to crunchy almond butter. Blueterra is one of the go-to places online when it comes to superfoods and places sustainability at the center of what it does. Under Aboudi's leadership, Blueterra is changing the way people shop in the Middle East by introducing conscious commerce to the region. Recently, in 2021, Aboudi was featured in the Forbes 30 Under 30 list as well. Congratulations on that, Aboudi, and welcome to the session. Thank you so much once again for joining in. I do know that you're not just, you guys don't just sell superfoods to people here in the region, but you're a conscious consumer yourself. So I'm pretty sure you're very passionate about superfoods, and I'm definitely looking forward to hearing what you have to say and share during the session.
Thank you. Thank you for the introduction. Happy to be here.
Awesome. Last but not the least, we have Dharmendra Mohnani, who's the general manager of West Zone Fresh Supermarkets. The West Zone group chain has over 100 supermarkets to its name, making it one of UAE's most successful and fastest growing chains in Dubai. Dharmendra is regularly involved in contract negotiations with senior management involving multiple third-party market grocery applications that are a vital component of his work profile. He is well recognized for development and leading the implementation of strategic business plans for various products. Westzone's primary focus is on organic products and strives to bring the very best organic products to consumers and the marketplace. Dharmendra, thank you so much for joining in this afternoon. I do know that you have a very busy schedule, but thank you for tuning in. And I'm pretty sure your insights today would definitely add a lot of value to the session and add a lot of value to what we know about superfoods today.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for giving me the opportunity and beautiful introductions. Thank you very much for that.
Likewise, thank you. All right, we're going to get right into it. And Abudi, I'd like to start off with you. I do know that at Blue Terra, you have a lot of products, mostly organic and natural, like I mentioned. But I'd like to understand from you as to what current demand are you seeing for superfoods in the region? And what has the pandemic really done to this demand? What has the demand increased? What exactly has the pandemic meant for superfoods?
Well, from my viewpoint, there's essentially two vantage points. There's a data argument, which I can speak to based on the data that I see. There's also an anecdotal argument, which I see in the broader market and how the modern conscious consumer is behaving, which I'll define later. From a data standpoint, I can see from our sales a growing desire for these nutrient-dense foods, or more popularly known as superfoods, primarily concentrated in leafy greens, nuts, seeds, and berries. This may not necessarily reflect the general view of the market, because the Blue Terra customer is a health-conscious customer primarily, so we tend to attract only such types of customers. But more widely speaking, the onset of the pandemic led to, I think, a contemplation on one's health choices, how they impact one's energy, focus, well-being, and on top of that, the environmental aspect that brought the health of the planet front and center. But I think by and large, there's data to speak to it, and the conscious consumer is growing year on year. It's growing at 20% year on year. They make up 16% of the UAE population, with as many as, say, 30% in, let's say, the UK per se. But that means that the conscious consumer is doubling every 5 years. And that speed of growth, we've seen it after the pandemic, because the pandemic was a taster for what climate change could mean, because it was a global catastrophe that affected people, and it was almost borderless, and climate change could be costlier, longer, and could affect more lives. So it brought about this contemplation on how might we live healthier lives, and how does that impact the health of the planet. And as a result, the demand for these nutrient-dense foods and how they're made and where they're made and how they impact my body have seen, a large uptake. Whether you see it on Google Trends, if you're seeing for how people are behaving, searching for the stuff, videos on TikTok. I haven't started making videos yet, but I will. And in sales numbers. I don't know. What do you guys see in your businesses?
All right. Ananya, I'd like to come to you. I do know that at Hunters, you retail a wide range, or rather distribute a wide range of gourmet snacks as well. But what's the current demand, or rather, what current trends are you seeing at Hunter Foods, and what's gotten you into this particular segment?
Well, one of our brand promise for Hunter Foods is better for you. And so it is one of our promises that we look at how do we encourage consumers to eat better every day. And that's something that we started back in 2014. 2015, we started distribution of superfoods, again, because it is something we believe in, to have people, to educate people, to have something which is going to improve their health, make them feel better. But it's changed over the years because the knowledge of what these superfoods are has changed from that time onwards. So whether it was quinoa, whether it's chia seeds, if you're looking at cacao, any of the superfoods, they've become a lot more recognized. In 2014, 15, 16, if you went to most of the restaurants, you wouldn't see quinoa on the menu. Now, if you go to most restaurants, which restaurants don't you see some superfoods on the menu? And I think in 2020, the biggest change that took place is, I think people started really introspecting and looking at what's important. And one of the key things is health and well-being for themselves and their families. And I think that's where a lot of the demand started increasing. And we've seen that. We've seen that both in HoReCa, hotels, restaurants, catering, and we've seen that in retail, both. I'd also spoken to our partners in Peru and the Peruvian trade, and to get some of the numbers, because Peru is one of the key countries where we get a lot of our organic superfoods from. And they had growth of about 34% between 18 and 19, 13% going into 2020. In the last year, in the first half of 2022, they've actually seen an increase of agricultural products, most of which is superfoods, of 70%. So year to date, July, there's been a 70% increase. So that is rising very quick. So it's we aren't seeing the same sort of growth, not at that speed, because there are so many more people entering the market. And it's not only organic superfoods, a lot of people are then looking at conventional superfoods. So and it's becoming more a part of our daily diet. It's not, oh, did you know about this? It's like, how much do you consume of this? And there's been a bit of a shift in that, especially over the last 2 years after COVID.
Wonderful. Very interesting there, Ananya. Thanks for that. Dharmendra, I'd like to come to you next. I know that you're in the traditional brick and mortar retail business. So the consumers that come to you are not necessarily health conscious all the time, unlike Abudhi's target market or target group. So I'm really sort of interested to know from you as to, is there what sort of demand are you looking at when it comes to superfoods, and what trends are you currently seeing? Dharmendra, I think you're on mute.
Yes. See, there's looking at supermarket industry. I can say the superfood demand increased by the after pandemic. We started before pandemic actually given the sections to the organic. In 17 and 18, we designed a special area for organic and a special category. But during that time, the lot of vendors who brought in the superfood was there. As per the response was not received in I can say the 17 and 18. And we were forced to move our category to from the organic, which we made the sections. And later on stage, we moved to the category wise because we want to push the superfood to the people's when they're visiting the category especially. But after the pandemic, when the people are the more health conscious, we've seen it the certain area, because West Zone is around 100 supermarkets here in UAE, all over. And moreover, there's so many outlets which is on Marina and New Dubai side. So there is the people are the more health conscious and niche customers are there. So I can say that those areas demands are increased. The Marina, Business Bay, I can say the Discovery Garden and JBR. So and a lot of even the new vendors come up in the past 1 and 2 years, which one we listed the number of suppliers which come up for the inventory, and everybody was trying to make some space in a similar category in a superfood. I can say more than I believe that 10 to 15 suppliers who come up the new vendors as a best zones to be listed, the new listings. And still there is the number of people who's still bringing the new products, and especially a lot of product ranges grow up from the, I can say from the India, Sri Lanka, Bulgaria, because people are looking, the price conscious was also very much because they want to see the some prices should be very effective, the good quality products. So as the competition increased, the products range and quality was also increased. Of course, that there is the two different type of customers still there. One of the niche market who looking the super brands are there, and some of the customers who want organic, but they need to be the one cost effective still, I can say. But all over, I can say the demand is much increased comparing before.
Wonderful. Well, now we've established that the demand for superfood is definitely on the rise here, not just here in the UAE, but across the Middle East. But Abudi, I'd like to come to you again, and I'd like to know from you as to what are the current varieties or the specific superfoods that you're seeing most traction for at the moment at Blue Terra.
I would say that the distribution is relatively, even from, leafy greens and what people buy in terms of leafy greens for their weekly grocery runs is starting to change. So the darker leafy greens are more popular now. The seeds and flax seeds of the world, they have been in demand for a few years and continue to be so as we find new applications for them, as I find a recipe where I can apply it to them, as I add it to a smoothie that I'm making at home. There's also, the usual berries, which people consume more and more of. The acais of the world, but interestingly, what I'm starting to see more and more of in terms of demand, and I'm a consumer of, is a high uptake in mushroom derivatives. From lion's mane, which is good for your focus, to chaga, which is good for your energy levels, turkey tail and cordyceps. These fascinating creatures that resemble the nervous system of our planet have increasingly been clinically studied and contribute to a plethora of benefits, from a decrease in the risk of cancer to a healthier gut. And healthier gut means better energy levels and better mood in general. So I would say it's generally split. Plus you have the categories that are related to powders from moringa and cacao, which people are finding more and more applications for. And as people start to replace a traditional breakfast with a smoothie where they add these different powders to them. But even from a snacking standpoint, Hunter Foods is greatly positioned in the market because our appetite for nibbling has not decreased, but our appetite for what we nibble with has dramatically changed. So it's spread across, I would say.
Awesome. Ananya, what are your thoughts on this? What types or other varieties of superfoods are you seeing most traction for?
I think, as Abudi said, people are now starting to use the superfoods in multiple applications. So to give as an example, the superfood we sell the most would be quinoa. So whether it's white quinoa, red, black, or the tricolored quinoa. That's something, but as it gains traction, people are starting to now use not only quinoa fried rice, they're making quinoa biryanis with it. So the applications keep going up because they're more aware that it's better to substitute rice with quinoa and have something which is going to be all protein rather than carbs. So things like that is where the consumer is starting to understand, how do I use this more in my regular diet? It's not for me to say, look, I'm going to have some superfoods now, but it's just normal to say, all right, today I'm going to have quinoa biryani or quinoa fried rice or a quinoa risotto, whatever the case may be. And so we've introduced products like quinoa flour. If people want to make a cake with quinoa flour rather than regular flour, now you've got the ability to do so, or have cereals with quinoa flakes rather than a cornflake. So it's just, how do you take it to the next level? Because people are applying, as Abudi said, a lot more into the regular diet. And that's the basic trend. But there are superfoods which people don't still know enough about. There's still a lot of education out there, but it's not. The starting point is for people to say, look, I care about my well-being, I care about my health. Once that is there, well, how do I take care of my health? Well, I need to eat better. How do you eat better? You need to have things which are more nutritious, which a lot of that comes back to the superfoods. And the more it gets into your diet, the more applications you have, the more derivatives you're going to use it for. So, I mean, so if we're seeing what the trend is, people are just applying the superfoods into more of their meals. There's a bigger share of stomach, which is being used for superfoods. So, and we don't see that slowing down anytime soon. It will become, it's a good thing. We'll all live better.
Awesome. Well, that was very interesting, Ananya, especially the application of superfoods. I think, I mean, that definitely gives us a new scope to think of. So thanks for that. Dharmendra, I'd like to come to you. What are the current types or other varieties of superfoods are you seeing most traction for at West Zone?
See, there is a number of varieties coming in now. Now that you can find in every category that the superfood you will find. You will find in a pasta, you will find in noodles, you will find in energy bars, you will find in cereals, you will find the chips superfoods is there. So the every category you can select and you will get something from there. Earlier days was just only the cereals which was the injected, and the name of superfood, the energy bar and the cereal was there. But now the everyday people are hunting the new something which is superfood. Recently, I find it out very interesting, and someone he brought it to me from the product from the India, and which are the startup company in India, and they blended with the Indian taste all superfood, because people want to be all the time. There's something to be, not only the superfood just to be just like just graving it without taste. So they develop the taste such a way which is the very interesting, which is especially for the target the youngsters generations, not only the just who's growing then they're in age and tomorrow they want to consume to maintain themselves. They want to divert their youngster also to be educated and lets them to be have a superfood also and value for that ones, so that they develop their taste as well also. So the many startup company who brought it this kind of products, which is matching the taste as per the spices or whatever they mix it together with that, so youngster can also take the benefit of that. So I can say that you'll find today in every category, the most of the every product in each category. You just think it and you, whatever the category follow up is, every category having the food, even the soups and whatever it is also as well.
Interesting then, Dharmendra, especially the part where you see a lot of startups coming into the category. I think it's going to get a lot more exciting for all of us in the industry here. Definitely wait and watch and see what that translates to. But I'd like to move on here, and we do know that we stay in that part of the world where most of whatever we consume is imported. There's not much that grows here. Obviously, that is definitely changing with various government initiatives, with vertical farms and whatnot. But this means that there are a lot of suppliers that we are constantly dealing with, and each of us are constantly, trying to see what products and where we can get them from. So my question is, what is that one message that you have to to give to your suppliers who are probably looking to export their superfoods here into the Middle East and into the wider region? Abudi, would you like to go first?
Yeah, and it's a couple of things, but most importantly, right now, 5% of grocery sales are from organic foods in general. Yet 60% of the population thinks organic is better for them. So why the disparity? And that is because the grocery category is highly price elastic. A minor variation on the price really affects demand. So since the larger part of the food category here in the region is imported, which comes with an additional cost to serve the local consumer, by the time the product makes it to the shelf, it is being presented to the customer with a price premium that becomes an impediment. So now you have a very small part of your traffic or the people or your footfall that can afford these products versus where the brand originally came from, where it's probably cheaper. And if we can find ways to be more mindful of the end customer, the way you work on your agreement with your distributor or the importing retailer, will make or break your success in the local market, because the retailer does not have a lot of maneuverability on his largely fixed cost dependent business. So minor compromises in profit margin by the brand will translate in lower prices in the local market, which will then which will lead to much higher sales and more than make up for the lost per unit profit margins, right? So price is a huge element. Now, there is a move to localize production, new ways to make ingredients that we previously used to import, but that's not the subject now. And the other part is, should you want to move into a local market, other than the consideration of price, which needs to be more further considered from a user standpoint, not from a business standpoint, it's also localize the packaging, right? Localize the content and enable your distributors and retailers to be able to spend on awareness campaigns or content creation that can educate the market to help you move your products and benefit the end consumer. Because primarily the brand's inception was because they saw a gap in the market, a customer need that they needed to fulfill. And that conception, that initial idea, that sell of the idea needs to continue to be there when these products are brought onto the local market. That's my view, I guess.
Awesome. Ananya, what are your thoughts on this? I know you work with a lot of superfood suppliers, majorly from South America, but if there's a supplier watching, and what's that one message that you'd like to give to them?
So I guess when we started in 2015 importing superfoods, the whole idea was we'd bring it here. We had it in bulk. For the hotels, restaurants, catering, we packaged it. For the retail, we in fact went on to even package it now in 100% sustainable packaging with a window and so on. But it's been evolution in time. Where we are now, there are a lot of suppliers. A lot of them come for Gulf Foods, which is one of the largest food shows in the world. A lot of them are meeting and trying to supply the superfoods to the various importers, distributors. But I think the key message would be to have an added value, because otherwise it's almost becoming, not all the superfoods, but a lot of the ones with the high volumes are being commoditized to a certain extent. And it's important for the supplier to say, look, what value am I adding? Am I doing something with it which is very different? Like Dharmendra was saying, people are now starting to give it an Indian taste to the superfood and have products with that. That could be interesting. Fine, you're targeting a certain customer segment with something, they might not have had. But it's important to give an added value. It can't be the same, which is already here. It's not another Me Too. The Me Too strategy is not going to work. The market's already become quite mature for that to happen.
Wonderful. Pretty insightful there, Ananya. I'm sure suppliers watching this would definitely make a note of that. Dharmendra, I'd like to come to you. I know you work with a lot of suppliers for superfoods at West Zone. What is your message to them?
I can say I'm with Ananya, Mr. Ananya, what he said right. I can say that the UAE is the country which is having a variation of different countries, people living it here, and every country people need something from their own countries to see, and especially that who is the niche market they want to see from the maybe Europe or from USA products is there, and definitely they have to pass on something to be add-on value. And I can say the maintaining the quality should be the cost effective also as well, because there's much the competition is very much increased, but everybody looking the quality also as well, and together beside of that looking the prices also as well. And especially the product started coming from the India and Sri Lanka and the various countries from the Middle East also as well. The earlier days only the superfood come from the Europe and USA. The most dominating country was from there, but now the superfood coming from the various nearby Middle East also countries also as well. So this is the one that I can say that which development happened recently last 2 years. So definitely looking the competition, I can say that should be the value-added service together with the cost-effective and quality should be maintained. The packaging and everything is much developed comparing the before, as now that I can looking that packaging is the much from every location is coming the very beautiful packaging way, and it's very attractive it is also as well. But when it has to be, what is the percentage looking the market share currently now? Like Mr. Abudi said, now the 5% market, I'm assuming also the 4 to 5% share of the retail, which is the organic, and which further path is there for increasing the sales. But until when the people want to buy it from superfood, definitely looking the cost effective also as well with the quality.
Great. I think you touched upon a very important point here, and that is the country of origin of some of these superfood products. And I think that brings me to the next question, which is, from what regions do you see most of the superfoods coming from? We do know that a major part of it comes from countries like Peru, Colombia, Brazil as well. But I think Dharmendra brought it up that he's seeing a lot of products coming in from countries like India, Sri Lanka, and the rest of GCC as well. Abudi, from what regions do you see most of your superfoods coming from? What are the top sourcing countries on your list?
So from our standpoint, we're trying to curate name brands and offer them at wholesale prices to consumers so as to make them more affordable. And for our proposition, we're a technology business primarily, so we're focused on the software element of things and on the marketing element of things. So because that's our focus, we end up sourcing our products from local distributors who work with brands to get these products. And if I were to think about it, when there's a category creating product that shows up in the market, it primarily comes from the US or the UK, where the early adopter primarily lies in. But it's been a decade or so where we're seeing a higher desire of these product categories, and we're seeing local entrepreneurs where these raw materials are grown or gathered, come up with new propositions and seek distribution in foreign markets. So as a panelist said, there's a wide variety of where we're sourcing these products, and it really comes down to the viewpoint of the distributor or the retailer on what could appeal to the local consumer.
All right. Ananya, I'd like to come to you. I think you mentioned previously that you work with a lot of producers across South America, but Is that where most of your superfoods come from, or do you have is the world a canvas when it comes to sourcing?
So, as far as most of our superfoods do come from Peru, we have formed a partnership with Peru, but we work directly with the farmers rather than working through a broker or trade, mainly to have consistent quality, because now to keep buying from wherever it's cheaper right now, because the quality then keeps changing. You can buy it from one place, another place. We wanted to keep that uniform. And so we've taken that position. Now, there are brands which might not do it that way, which is fine, but we've just wanted to position ourselves a little bit higher to say, look, we want to bring it from the farmer, from Peru, where for a lot of the products where they originated from. One thing to keep in mind when you're saying, where are the superfoods coming from? There's a difference between the actual superfood or where they're being packed, because the country of origin all of a sudden might be where it was packed. So if we take it from Peru to the US, suddenly it can become the product of the USA. Is it grown in US? No, but it was packed there. So the country of origin becomes USA, or it can become UK. It could be any of the European countries, India, Sri Lanka, but is it being grown there? So that's a differentiation that we do need to look at from a consumer point of view. It's not only where it's packed, but where is it from? But yes, now we're seeing it from a variety of places. So there are countries which are starting to grow superfoods, which they didn't, but a lot of them are saying, look, we can pack it more beautiful and send it out to many countries cheaper than what they can in their own markets. So let's also do that. So both of those things are going on. But as far as we're concerned, we actually buy most of it from Peru, and we even have the Peruvian logo on our packing. We worked with the Peruvian government to do that. And so we're committed. We're not going to buy it from anywhere else. We buy it from source, from one country, and direct from the farmers.
Very interesting to know that, Ananya. I mean, I do believe that there's a lot of effort that goes into producing high quality raw ingredients that goes into superfoods. So it definitely makes a lot of sense in having the right relationship with your supplier and your producers, and also paying them the right price for it. And it's very heartening. It's very nice to know that you work with only select few suppliers when it comes to this. Dharmendra, what are your thoughts on this? Where do you see most of your superfoods coming from?
We do get the superfood from the many countries. The major share is still coming from the Europe and USA, I can say. And last 1 year, that's starting from the many products from India also as well, which is where many new companies come up, maybe due to the cost effective, and many startups when last 2 years has grown up after pandemic. But still, I can say the major share is the Europe, Australia, and USA. These are 3 countries which is still leading it.
All right. Okay. I think we've talked about all the great parts of superfoods and all the positive elements of it. But I'd like to go on to the other side of the picture, and that is the challenges that we're currently facing when it comes to this particular category. While it is gaining traction, while we're seeing a lot of demand from the end consumers, there are a lot of challenges that we as distributors, importers, and producers face. I'd like to know from you, I think we'll go from Dharmendra this time, as to what are some of the key challenges that retailers or the distributors and importers like yourselves are facing when it comes to superfoods?
The challenges, I can say, the thing is that while they're bringing it here, there is the two. One is that who's bringing with the established suppliers, they are faster to gain the market share because they are easy to be listed in the markets, and approaches them, because channel is already, distribution is there, like Hunter Food, Mr. Ananya having already channelized. So if introducing a new product for them is the more easier to be when they want to list in a West Zone, because they are having accounts, so everything is there to be there. But when somebody's coming to be in a new markets, they have to process through they have to establish the new channels, distribution centers, they have to make it. And biggest challenge is coming to be educating the customers actually. Who are bringing the product is here. The most important thing to educate the customers to what he's having it, what add up values in there, how is the brand you want to take it. That depend on the hunger of the business, who's ever introducing the product in UAE or whichever in a world country, depend how much is hunger for his business. Who's choosing the partners with him, which are the retailers who's choosing it there. How the presence is looking in a market. Completely this is different. Everyone having a different strategy of the business and how he's running the show, how I can say the branding, his roadmap he's having it. So completely depend on his own roadmap, how the strategic he's planning it to introduction on the markets. So someone they distribute in a market and immediately list in a market and the products in all over and they raise the demands. Some people, they like to go very slowly to grow the markets. And some people maybe target only online in the beginning and later on the stage, they want to grow up in a supermarket also as well. So this depend on the brand to brand, I can say.
All right. Abudi, what are your thoughts on this? I mean, what challenges are you facing currently when it comes to sort of superfoods and because you work with a variety of superfood suppliers. I'm sure there's something that you're facing a challenge with.
Yes, well, primarily it's quality and sustainability. Let me explain. Trying to understand the supply chain that comes along with sourcing the product, packaging the product, and shipping it here, and the quality of the product is a riddle and a half. If you think about our value proposition, we're trying to take the headache out of finding really high quality products that are also environmentally friendly. And if we are to look at certifications or labeling, yes, it pays that the product has the local market certification. But non-governmental certifications are not created equal. A lot of them are being lobbied by the billion-dollar conglomerates of the sector. Those have ulterior motives or may have subpar standards for various reasons, such as turning a profit as an organization, right? Or compensate on rigor with speed to certification, which could be attractive to brands. Even the famous certifications that consumers recognize have been hit with corruption charges. So when I look at a brand, it feels as though I have to read a 300-page legal document without having to be a lawyer, right? So even like what I find in the conscious consumer is a level of awareness and knowledge that compensates for that, for what a brand may or may not do, but I have to curate for that. And even then, our knowledge about our food system and how it impacts our guts and our health is ever changing in light of new evidence per se. And sometimes even new research faces backlash and takes time to translate into new standards. So we have to come up with our own methods on how to deem whether a product is of good quality, past the litmus test, which is putting it in your mouth and seeing how it feels. I have to look at the raw ingredients. I have to look at how it's packaged. I have to see, what type of certifications. Can I trust the certification process for it to then make it to our shelf so we can give it to the customer, right? So it is quite a challenge. It is quite a challenge.
All right. Ananya, what are your thoughts on this? What are challenges that you're facing when it comes to, procurement of superfoods, and what challenges do you face when it comes to dealing with suppliers and getting this here?
The first challenge that we've got a range of superfoods from specific countries or suppliers, and we've been working with them for many years. So that part is stable. However, if we want to add a new superfood, Now, especially if it's going to be something which is less recognized, we can't bring huge volumes to start with. But if it's from a new country altogether, it becomes very hard to bring a small volume because then the cost of just bringing it here goes up so much. So I would say the first thing is the MOQ, the minimum quantity. If it's the minimum quantity to make it feasible is difficult to get started, then you make it mature, then it can work. But it's a bit of a catch-22. Unless you bring it and make it more popular, how do you increase the volume? So the first is to bring something, you want to make it popular, but what's the minimum quantity to make it commercially viable? So it's a quantity is the first one. The second is the freight rates. Over the last 2 years, even now, the freight rates are crazy. What was being charged last month to this month, it can go up or down by half or double. And so how do you price it? Because it's changing so fast. And the last, we've managed to fight this to a certain extent, but is the certification exactly as both Dharmendra and Abudi were saying, is how much can we trust the certification? But for that reason, we're recertifying it all here ourselves to meet the local legislation and requirements. So we are able to do that. But even then, for us to be convinced, we also need to have something we can trust. And so certifications are very important. And for that, it comes back to finding the right partner. But if I had to summarize it, one, it's the quantity, minimum quantities. The second, it's the transportation costs. And the last, it is just being able to trust their certification. Yes, we're certifying it here for the local authorities, but we need to be able to trust that so we can bring it here to do that process.
Right. I think something very important that you mentioned, Ananya, was the certification and the product labeling, the certification and other legal requirements for each of these products. I would like to touch base on that in the second half of this discussion. That's on every supplier and every exporter's mind these days. But before that, I think we've come to the end of the first half of this discussion. I'd like to take a quick short networking break. The panelists may wish to stay on mute, or you may wish to switch your video off, and we should be back hopefully in the next 5 minutes.
We've found UAE partners. We've also found people coming from Iran, from Oman, from Qatar, Saudi Arabia, lots of places. Pretty good so far. We are in the third day, and we've already met lots of partners. Also, the organization has been really helpful with us, so we are pretty grateful.
To be honest, Ukraine is the fourth on the world in exporters of organic products. And after we had a survey with the Ukrainian companies, we understood that the Middle East is the second market we would like to open. That is why we are here and trying to find our partners. I think it was perfect. We had only 3 months to organize this pavilion, and as you see, it's working great. We had a lot of contacts and potential buyers, so I think we'll communicate further. And for the next year, I think we'll also plan this exhibition to participate here.
It was a good experience. We would repeat it next year probably with our distributor. You see, I think that the kind of audience that we met is pretty diverse, and this is what is also interesting, right? On one side, we met consumers. They're going to buy on our website because in 2 days we're going to launch e-commerce. We met also distributors, not just for the UAE, but in general for the GCC countries. We're looking for someone in Saudi Arabia, we're looking for someone in Qatar. So we're definitely gonna be here next year with our UAE distribution. And then we met a few retailers, and this is why, you know, I think that there's a lot to build into the retail side of the business to, you know, meet the market trends and then starting opening up the real organic stuff in the UAE. Clear progression to the future, and I think that that's the step forwards that retailers in the UAE and then also in Saudi Arabia will have to face over the next future.
Really nice. In fact, we are super happy because we receive really good potential clients thanks to the organization, because you come with nice people, and I hope that we will finish and with good deal and with good sales. Discuss with our team, we are super happy, and maybe we will come next year. So we need to study the strategy, but I guess that this is one of the best events, one of the best fairs regarding organic and cosmetics. UAE mainly, but from Kuwait, from Saudi Arabia, even from India, Pakistan, Iran. So all the area, not just from here, from Dubai or UAE, but from all the area. So that is really, really nice, because in one point you can meet people from different countries. So that's fantastic.
It's obvious. Currently, organic and natural trends are growing up everywhere in the world, especially here in the Middle East. We understood that Russia has not only the great potential, but the actual products which are getting produced in the entire Russia. We have 85 regions in Russia, and all of them have really natural and unique products. And we thought, like, why not bring them to UAE as the entry point for the entire Middle East? That's why, as of now here, we're available with 42 companies from Russia.
All right, we're back. I think we've had a very, very interesting first half discussion. Thanks to the panelists, of course, for sharing their insights. I think just before we left, Ananya touched upon a very, very important point, which is on product certification, labeling and registration as well. And I think this is a very important point here, because there are a lot of roadblocks are faced on either side between suppliers and importers. Ananya, I'd like to start from you. What sort of product certifications would you like to see in a superfood suppliers? Would that be that from the Dubai municipality, or is it the ESMA certification? What exactly are you looking for?
Well, generally, since all the products we bring in are organic, we do need the organic certification, which is recognized by Dubai municipality, but not only that, but by all the different bodies within the GCC and wherever else we export it to. And we export to 60 countries, not superfoods, but overall, we do export superfoods to about 15 countries. So they all need to be able to recognize the certification which is coming in. What's a bit more difficult is then to actually build the packaging, which is going to be able to incorporate that, but then which is also going to be in accordance with the requirements of each of these 12 to 15 countries. And every time that changes, it puts pressure on us to have to change the packaging. So right. I think that's where one really needs to know who are you targeting? What do we need in terms of the certifications to bring in? And then when we export, what certifications do we need to be able to provide to our customers, partners, distributors? So it goes both sides. And not only the certifications, but the labeling and the design of the product. So for example, in Saudi, you do need to have the Arabic name of the product in the front, or then you need to sticker it. Now, we think it starts looking quite ugly to have stickers in the front, so we'd rather have the name in Arabic on the packaging. In Pakistan, we needed to have Urdu at the back. It could not be inkjetted, it couldn't be stickered. So how do you then change that packaging requirements for each country? That becomes very important.
All right. Abudi, what are your thoughts on this? What sort of, do you look at certifications and labeling as a very important part before onboarding a supplier, or how does that work for you?
Well, absolutely. That's the key part of our value proposition. And it started off with my desire to live a healthier and more sustainable lifestyle. So we end up looking at 90 plus variables, depending on the product category, which we then allow customers to filter on. But primarily, obviously, it's got to have an organic certification to start with if it's a food item. That's absolutely critical. The second very important part is the social element. At the place of production, are you using fair labor practices? Right? That is absolutely essential, right? Just that by the nature of what we sell and what type of business we are, we have to have that. I personally care about it. The team personally cares about it, and our customer cares about it. Then there's the sustainability aspect, which is, other than the practices of how the product is made, what is it packaged in, right? Is it a plastic? We tend to not really like plastic, but we may let some types of plastic onto the site because they have a higher percentage of recyclability, but have a preference to infinitely recyclable materials or low carbon footprint materials that people use from a packaging standpoint. And last but not least, how many miles has the product traveled? Not from the place of where it was last packaged, but at the place of packaging, there's also ingredients that are flown in from different places. And that factors into the carbon footprint of these products, which tends to be important, at least for us. And what we're trying to do is help people through their consumption live a more sustainable lifestyle. And that also means, the products that they buy have a lower carbon footprint. So we have to take these things into consideration. If a raw material is flown from India to South America to then get packaged in North America, that then get flown here to the UAE, we tend to look at that with some form of scrutiny, and it goes into a scoring system that it reveals to us if we should make a call on this product and bring it onto the platform or not, because we don't want to violate the trust of the customer, right? And the customer expects that we take the headache out of finding these products and availing them to them.
Right. I think that's wonderful. I think it reiterates the value that the company stands for, which is centered around sustainability. So I think it's definitely you've taken the right steps. And I'm pretty sure suppliers who are looking to work with you would definitely sort of have this incorporated into their product and put in their thoughts into whatever they're making. All right, Dharmendra, I'd like to come to you. What sort of product certifications or labeling that are you looking for when it comes to superfood products? What are you looking for before you stock it on your supermarket shelves?
See, when we can coming into this listing the products, of course, we are looking the certification of the product is the organic, especially the UAE ESMA is issuing the certificate for that. The supplier should have the certification from the ESMA. The soil certificate should be they having it. The certification from the organic authorities, those verifying the organic authorities, that is the product is organic, and then from which country of origin from there, and especially the Arabic label should be there. The very much the here is the law which every product is required. The Arabic labeling is there, so that is also we are looking at to be must be ensured that every product having Arabic labeling should be there. So 4 or 5 things is very important, which is there to be. It should be there.
All right. I think that pretty much answers the question of product labeling and certification, something that's on all of the suppliers' minds these days. I'd like to get into a very, very interesting aspect of the entire superfood category, and that is e-commerce. We do know that a large chunk of sales of superfoods happens online through e-commerce platforms, Blueterra being one of them. Abudi, I know that you're an expert in this, and you've sort of, at Blueterra, you have definitely captured a wide share of the market. I'd like to know from you as to how important is it for how important, or rather what sort of an impact has e-commerce had on the distribution and the retail of superfood products?
I mean, if you look at the distribution of share of spend across brick and mortar versus e-commerce, it's a certain percentage. But if we are to focus on, the sale of superfoods, you'll see a higher share of sales coming through online channels, and that is determined because the demand is mostly coming from millennials and Gen Z customers that are born into this era and have built a lifestyle around the convenience of shopping online versus an older segment of the population that still finds pleasure in going to the store, touching and feeling the products and shopping them. But what e-commerce is able to do, and primarily places like Blueterra, is other than the fact of making it available and allowing these product pages to be content rich, from benefits of the product to the nutritional facts. It's also bridging the gap in terms of education, which we've been focused on, be it in the form of blog posts or videos that touch consumers in different touch points where they're interacting with media, that then lead to the site and have them experience the products on the site, and then get them shipped to their homes.
All right, Dharmendra, what are your thoughts on this? I do know that at West Zone you're majorly into brick and mortar, but what are your thoughts on e-commerce capturing a major chunk of the superfood sales?
Yes, I can say the through the e-commerce is happening. The one is the major share because the niche customers, especially they use the mobile application for more over the orders. I can say that these days everyone is more handy after the pandemic, definitely. But I can say the major share of organics, I'm getting it still the share from the online market also as well. As West Zone having it around 60 to 70 locations as like hyperlocal deliveries we do, and the 4 to 5 is still that the 4 to 5% business we are getting from the organic through the e-commerce through that. The conventional is of course that much more than that, but the organic is if I look at the offline and online, the online having a major share comparing to the offline.
Right.
As especially that West Zone having it, the different sectors, the segments having a business, like we are having outlet in Marina and the JBR and the downtown. So the different, we are getting different customers also as well, different segment. So those areas, the sales are different in offline. But I can say another area which is the like Burdaway and other areas also as well. When still people like to see the organic food, and still they like to see the superfood is there of customers also as well. So they are going on online and they're buying it because they are not believing to be maybe they will get in those kind of areas that the whole range of product or no.
Right. Very interesting to see there, Dharmendra. I'm pretty sure, pandemic has had its own role to play in the shifting of e-commerce, in shifting of people shopping online. Ananya, I'd like to come to you on this. I do know that Hunter Foods is primarily a B2B business, and you generally distribute, and you're not so much into the e-commerce side of things. But I'd like to know from you, how has this had an impact on your business? What does that has had to mean for you at Hunter Foods?
At Hunter Foods, I think what we did see, we don't work on e-commerce directly, but we work on e-commerce through various partners, like a Blue Terra. Hopefully, we're going to start working with them very soon, but with many other e-commerce platforms. So we are available through that platform. Now, something that happened with the pandemic, all of a sudden, what would have taken 3 to 5 years for e-commerce to grow, it grew that much faster with the lockdowns and in 2020. With that, there were certain consumers who stayed on e-commerce. Some shifted back over the last 6 to 12 months to some of them, most of them are actually buying from both. Now, as far as superfoods, we've seen greater traction. So when we look at our overall growth, the growth through e-commerce is outpacing the growth of brick and mortar in terms of superfoods. And I believe that's more to do with the profile of the consumer, exactly like Abudi said, the consumer who's buying online tends to be younger and more health conscious generally.
Right. Very interesting to see there, Ananya, very interesting observations rather. Well, I'd like to come to something that Abudi spoke of, and that's something to do with education. I think we all as retailers, distributors, and business owners, and sort of stakeholders of the superfood sector, we have a major role to play when it comes to education. And that what I mean by that is educating the masses on the benefits and the importance of superfoods. I'd like to start off with you, Abudi. What is the importance of education? How important is it for you to educate your consumer on the benefits of superfoods, and sort of tell them what it really stands for?
It's absolutely imperative. If it's not done, we are not able. The customer will not buy. And let's start thinking about the customer, how they interact with, or how they come to know about a new superfood. They know about it in a panel discussion like this, in a social gathering, on a TikTok video, on a podcast, which then leads them down the path of, if it piques their curiosity, they may look for content on Google, and Google is going to render, or YouTube, or TikTok, which will render different types of media formats that, depending on their liking, will avail to them information about these superfoods, the benefits of them, and how they may apply them in different places, be it a smoothie in a powder format or a sprinkle on top of a salad. So we have to think about all of these media formats based on what the customer prefers, to create content that speaks truth to them about this information, that can engage them in ways that they'd like to be engaged in. Primarily now what we see highest engagement in is in TikTok videos, which then we're able to push them further down the path of, not push them down, they if it's interesting to them, they will fall on a site that they shop in. So like, let's say if they shop at Blue Terra, they'll go to Blue Terra to look for it. If they shop at West Zone, they'll go to West Zone and look for it. And if it's available and they deem it as a good quality, or they if they recognize the brand from a video they've seen or a shelf they've crossed by, they may add it to basket. Primarily packaging is obviously the first determinant of what makes somebody add something to cart for the first time. They'll give it a try, and if the quality is outstanding, that's what really usually gets second purchase. But it really starts with media, right? And how do we create media in the form that they like to consume it in, that avails this information to them?
Right. Abudi, if you don't mind, what are you doing personally at Blueterra to educate consumers, not just about the benefits of superfoods, but rather new varieties, the new combinations or the new applications of superfood? I think that Ananya mentioned in the first half of this discussion.
So there's multiple stages that we're going through that you'll start seeing more of us from Blueterra in the next couple of months. We started off by creating reels and TikTok videos about the health benefits of some of these superfoods. Next to these videos, we allow you to kind of click on a product and see more information about it. And soon what you'll start seeing from us is that we're launching a feature in the next 30 to 40 days where you'll be able to watch videos on the site of recipes that includes these superfoods, and with a click of a button be able to add all of the items in the cart to your cart in a single button. And it shows you different applications of these superfoods, and suddenly you have a plethora of products arriving to your house, where you can go back on the app, watch the recipe, make it at home, and taste it for the first time. And there's multiple different ways that we try to create that content. That back in the day, people used to start with blog content. Now I start with TikToks. So soon we'll go back to creating blog to be able to serve that content across different flavors of what type of content you like to create for different age groups. But what we're really trying to do is, every company nowadays is a media company. So we're trying to be a media company in terms of the content that we create to disseminate this information in as engaging, playful, informative ways as we can, so that we can serve their health needs and their sustainability requirements.
Awesome. Abudi, I will make sure to check what the new content whenever you have it online.
Awesome.
Ananya, I'd like to come to you. How important is it for you to educate consumers of superfoods, and what are you doing personally at Hunter Foods to educate them about the benefits, merits, and also the application of superfoods?
I guess when we started, in 2015, there was very little recognition on superfoods. We had the first mover advantage, which was good, but at the same time, there was more education at that time than today. It's become a little bit easier for some of the superfoods. A lot of the new superfoods which are being introduced, there's a lot more work to be done. But it's different. I think if we look at the journey, there's for HoReCa, for hotels, restaurants, catering, it's a lot easier because we can actually speak to the chefs and tell them about the benefits and find ways to introduce it into their menus. When it comes to the retail, we don't have that direct communication with the consumer. So we have to do it more through social media, through influencers, and trying to build recipes together with them to share and allow consumers to get more educated. But it's critical. And again, but we are, as a Better For You company, it is very important that we promote better eating every single day. And that's. But if we look at a superfood such as cacao nibs, when we started bringing cacao nibs to Dubai, there was very, very little demand for it. And over time now, over about 6-7 years, we've got a pretty substantial demand for cacao nibs. But it was really the journey of speaking to the chefs, promoting it through the influencers for the retail market, And now it has become one of our most important superfoods that we sell.
All right, Ananya, like you mentioned, I think you had the first mover advantage, but it's still very nice to see that you continue to educate the audience and you take that as a responsibility. Dharmendra, what are you doing at West Zone to educate your consumers and your shoppers on the benefits of superfood?
We do that on various way. We created a special category for the organic sections. Every category also having a space also as well for the organic and superfood also as well. We are trying to be accumulate the one place in every category so customer can be visible. Whenever we are receiving any new category or new brands there for super category, we put the labels there to be new arrivals are there. We send customers push notifications through the mobile applications. The online we are having organic category separately. We can put the banners there in a category and main banner application also as well to educate the customers. When customer can be clicking on banner and getting the one whole range from the complete basket, which is the organic range is there or superfood range is there. Even the social pages also playing the bigger role, Instagram, Facebook, and Google, and even that whatever other channels we are getting it, we are pushing through that also as well to do the marketing and promote the customers to know that we are having a products and better reach for customers.
All right, that's wonderful. Thank you so much for that, Dharmendra. Well, I think that brings us to the last part of this discussion, and I think it's very exciting to see where we're headed with superfoods as a category. But I'd like to know from each of you as to what is the next big thing within superfoods. What upcoming trends do you see dominate the region when it comes to superfoods? Abudiri, I'd like to start off with you first. I'd like to ask you what trends are you predicting for superfoods? What are your startup metrics saying?
Well, in my opinion, although there may be a handful of new superfoods that may come onto the market, I think the biggest change that we will see more awareness and uptake will be in how we integrate these superfoods in different form factors that we consume. What new recipes will we make use of these ingredients? Are there going to be new drinks, new capsules, powder, new snacks, new ingredients in old forms, old ingredients in new forms? How it will be used, I think, will by and large determine how much, what share of stomach they will have at the end of the day in our diets. And I think it's going to ever increase as, we look for authorities in health on different social platforms that give us recipes and tell us how we can consume this stuff, and brands coming in and allowing for these different form factors for people to be able to consume them in however which way or form they like to consume them in.
All right. Definitely. I think time will tell as to where that will head, but very interesting to hear that. Ananya, what are your big predictions for the superfoods category?
Overall, see, superfoods are foods our grandmothers or our ancestors used to use. It's not something new. It's something which has existed, but it's been rediscovered. We've found, as we've become more health conscious, we've said, oh, wow, there's something we used to use, or they used to use in this part of the world, and hey, it's so good, we should be having it in our daily diet. So far, we've been bringing it from various parts of the world. But I think if I had to predict what's going to happen in the future, I think it's going to be looking right within the region. So right here, starting to see, okay, what were things in the Middle East that people have been eating for many generations? What are some of those good, nutritious ingredients that they were using? So those could be anything from the freekeh, chickpeas, za'atar, freekeh, and one of the ones which we've started using recently is habat al-baraka, or known as the black seeds, in India, kalonji. Now that is something, if you talk to any of the Emiratis, most of them have 2 teaspoons of Habat al-Baraka with some honey every morning, because they do believe how good it is for your health. So we've taken the black seed, we've infused it with our pretzel chips, and now we have a black seed pretzel chip. And that we introduced a couple of years ago. That's just one thing. I think there's going to be a lot, but it's going to be rediscovering a lot of the heritage of this region. And how do we bring some of those, how do we re-educate the expats and a lot of the Arabs here, again, of ingredients they've already been using for decades, centuries.
Awesome. Thanks for that, Ananya. I mean, definitely something new for me. I wasn't aware of how black seeds were used. Thanks for enlightening me on that. Dharmendra, what are your big predictions for Superfoods as a retailer?
See, after the last 2 years, I can say the superfood has grown up more, and even the UAE government is also supporting a lot. Even the last year, that even the 40 new farms come up here in UAE, which producing the fresh produce from here. So I can say it is another times, maybe coming another 5 years. This it can come to 10% to be growth supposed to be, which people are more health conscious about. It has to be come in all categories. I can say cereals is many flood is there, sugar is already there, quinoa coming from a number of brands, but it's still the few categories is still would be the less. So we would like to see some more categories to be where people can be buy. The tea category is still one or two, three number of brands which come up in last year also as well, which is growing it also. But it's still a lot of categories having a gap. So that I can say that those categories can be come up number of products is the more. But together with the education of the customers, it should be the quality should be maintained, keeping in mind that the sustainability also and quality, and including the superfood also as well. Because some of people looking sustainability also, as Mr. Abodi said. So definitely the consumer looking together with the superfood sustainability, how the packaging is there, what they're using in material in that, and very important thing is that the very should be cost should be effective, because competition is growing up definitely with the number of brands is increasing it. So very much is how the present in a price is very play the major role in that to how to reach on customers to be there, especially when customers looking the 4 or 5 brands, different brands, where was the earlier days only 1 or 2 brands was available. So definitely there's market grow up, the number of brands is also grow up also there. So these factors has to be keeping in mind, and every brand should be the Arabic label properly. So shouldn't be there any obstacle with the UAE government and register with ESMA. I can say this is the supply has to keep in mind to be further growth.
All right. Thanks for sharing that, Dharmendra. I mean, I think like you mentioned, the more number of companies producing the more number of products, it's the end consumer that wins every time. So looking forward to that. Well, panelists, it's been a fantastic discussion. I think time has flown and I haven't realized that. Thank you so much for being a part of this session. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts and agreeing to do this. I'm pretty sure our audience today have had a lot to learn from whatever each of you have said. I'm sure a lot of them have made notes as well, especially on the product certification and the labeling part of what we discussed. Dear audience, thank you so much for tuning in and being a part of this wonderful session. I hope the discussions were of great use to you, and I'm pretty sure you would have definitely had a thing or two to take back from this particular session. The Organic and Natural Products Expo is scheduled to take place at the Dubai World Trade Center from the 13th to the 15th of December 2022. It will definitely be the right platform for you to showcase your superfood products. And I'm pretty sure a lot of people would look forward to having you showcase some of your products. I personally would like to welcome you all to Dubai in 2022 and Panelists, I would definitely like you to visit the show as well. It would be wonderful having each one of you be there and see for yourself as to what's happening with organic and natural products. We have the next organic Majlis session scheduled for the 5th of October, which will be on sustainable living and environment. I look forward to meeting each and every one of you once again at the same place at the same time. And once again, thank you so much for being a part of the session. The panelists, thank you so much once again.
Thank you.
It was wonderful having each and every one of you share your thoughts this afternoon, despite all of your busy schedules.
And thank you, Suraj.
Thank you, Mania. Thank you, Abudi. Thank you, Dharmendra.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks.
Thank you.